Welcome to the third episode and the EGOT Goes To, a breakdown and predictions podcast for the major US-based award shows. Today we continue our first season with a 9-episode miniseries on the 2023 Tony Awards. I'm your host, and with me is our panel.
Hello, I'm Kate Ranking. I am a Theater is Life on TikTok and YouTube, and I love seeing theater.
Hi, I'm Ashley Hufford. I'm Ashley Hufford on Instagram and TikTok. And I also love seeing theater. I have one show left in the 22-23 Broadway season. It's Goodnight Oscar, and I'm seeing it on Friday. So we're very close.
Hi, I am JT Tranberg, and I also love seeing theater. I am JT Does NYC on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all the socials. And I am super excited to talk about these noms. I tried to watch them this morning, but apparently I was on the wrong CBS website. So yeah, I will. I'm excited. I was pleasantly surprised with a lot of the fall nominations that we got. So yeah, we're gonna have a good time, and I'm ready.
The way that our next couple episodes is going to work is they're going to be an in-depth discussion of a category of a bunch of categories. So today we're talking about the production and design of a play. So we're talking about sound design, lighting design, costume design, and scenic design and direction of a play today. So first of all, in any of these categories, does anyone have any big snubs that they thought were going to get?
I will say I was very surprised Peter Pan Goes Wrong wasn't nominated. Like I really, and again, like I don't know if you saw, like they posted a whole funny like graphic where they're like 0 Tony nomination. Loved it. But I like thought the scenic design was so cool, especially when you understand what they're doing, which is it's supposed to look like a community production that falls to pieces. And I don't know, does that, to me, that counts as scenic, but with all like the tricks and stuff, but I don't know, maybe they didn't know where to put it, so it just fell out.
I agree. I mean, Play That Goes Wrong won scenic design. And I think Peter Pan Goes Wrong scenic design is fantastic. I'm also a little surprised that we didn't see Play That Peter Pan Goes Wrong in direction of a play as well. I probably would have squeezed it in there over some of the nominees that we ended up getting.
And on that note, I'm also shocked Kenny Leon didn't get nominated for director. Like I always, when they're like 2 actors and best show, but not director, you have nothing to do with the show being great.
Well, and Kenny Leon didn't get any nominations at all because he directed like 12 shows this year.
Yeah, he directed Ohio State. No, what else did he direct? No, was it Ohio State Murders?
Yeah. Ohio State Murders was him.
That is also true. I forgot he directed that.
Top Dog Underdog. It feels like he's directing everything.
Well, because he also did Tap Dance Kid, and then he's doing King
James, yeah,
which is not Broadway, obviously, and he's doing Hamlet.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. Is
the man does not stop working. Kenny is just like turning out.
Yeah, I feel like he did another thing like regionally.
I was also surprised by that. I was looking specifically for his name. He's from my hometown, and I've been to many of his speaking engagements in college. So I was a little disappointed that he did not receive any nominations.
So to start there, we can start with direction of a play. We have Sahim Ali for Fatham, Joe Bonney, Cost of Living, Jamie Lloyd, A Doll's House, Patrick Marber, Leopoldstadt, Stevie Walker Webb, Ain't No Mo, and Max Webster for Life of Pi. First of all, there must have been a lot of ties this year because we get a lot of 6 and even 7 nominees in some of these categories.
I also like that Life of Pi has 5 nominations, and it's the 5 categories we're talking about today.
Is there anyone in here that we don't think should be in here? First of all, let's start there.
There's a couple, but I mean, I even the 2 nominations that I don't feel like should be there are more than made up for by the fact that Stevie Walker Webb got a nomination. That was one of my favorite nominations of the day. I'm elated. I was so worried that play was going to be forgotten, and the opposite proved true. But I do not think that Patrick Marber should be in there for Leopoldstadt.
Yeah, I agree. Great play. Not a fan of the production.
And I don't know if I'm in the minority, and I say this either, but was the other one you were thinking of Jamie Lloyd, Kate?
Nope. Other one was Joe Bonnie.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, I could see that, but I don't know. Maybe I just thought Adult House was boring, but that's just me.
No, I mean, I think that's what you're thinking of though is, I mean, it's partially Jamie Lloyd, but I think it's mostly the show. Like, I think that Jamie Lloyd directs the shit out of a fairly boring show.
It's the show.
And
Right.
And that's what made me interested in it, was the way that he made those choices. But I also understand what you're saying, because I think part of his direction choice is to be like, look how monotonous her life is.
I would have really liked Michael Arden nomination in here for Christmas Carol.
I agree. I would have swapped out Patrick and Joe and brought in Michael Arden and the director for Peter Pan Goes Wrong.
I still talk about A Christmas Carol. I went in being like, oh, this will be fine. And I walked out being like, this is the coolest thing I've seen this year. I mean, I still talk about it all the time. It's one of my favorite things I've ever seen on a stage. And I would have really liked to have seen that reflected here. Who do we think is gonna get the win?
I don't know. I'm rooting for Hasima Lee, but I don't know, because there was a tie somewhere. Like, I'm not
Right.
sure. What do you guys think?
I'm very concerned it's going to be Patrick Marber, because I feel like they love
Me
Leia
too.
Polstad. And they love it. They love it. I would like it not to be. I would like it to be Saheem Ali or Stevie Walker Webb would be amazing. But I mean, I could see Max Webster, because I feel like if it seems like they're really celebrating the design choices of Life of Pi. That being said, I feel like it's like my personal choice would be Stevie Walker Webb, but I don't know if that's going to be what happens.
Well, because we also have to think about who the Tony voters are. I mean, there are a lot of people who come from out of town houses that are thinking about tours.
And they all want Leopoldstadt.
Life of Pi cannot tour, or if it does, it will be a very expensive tour. Yeah, because I think that, I mean, because I was thinking for a show to tour, a show of that caliber to tour, you have to go one of two ways. Either dumb it down a lot, like in a la Fun Home, a la Beetlejuice, or take it up a lot and it's going to be super, super expensive. And I don't think that Life of Pi is the show that you can dumb down. So it's either going to be super expensive or not go.
I think you can tour Life of Pi.
You think so?
I think you can tour it. There's a couple effects that you wouldn't be able to do on a touring stage. Anytime they go into the stage, you wouldn't be able to do that on a tour stage. But I think, especially after seeing the tour of My Fair Lady, that they could tour a set piece where the boat comes in and out. And
sense.
Everything else is tourable. The projections are going to be easy to tour.
Well, I also think they build the boat into the stage. So I feel like if they can figure out a way to tour that piece so that you can build the boat.
Yeah, tour with their own.
Yeah.
Well, in a lot of tours, tour with their own stage
Right.
deck. So what they might do is just do that.
Anyway, I think both Joe and Stevie are in, because Kate talked about this earlier when we were going live about how the issue is to this year, you don't have to have seen all the shows to vote. And so I feel like the shows in the fall that have already closed unfortunately have less of a chance in these categories, because if you were an out of town person that missed the 2 months that Ain't No Mo was on Broadway, you're still able to vote in direction of the play and just go. Which,
I mean, and I was shocked by how many nominations Cost of Living got.
Yeah, me too.
the nominators love.
Because how long was that run? Like 2 months or something? Like that run was.
It was a very short run, and it was literally the first play of the season other than Kite Runner. So the second play of the season.
MTC had an excellent day. They had an extremely excellent
It
day.
would be curious to see how many voters, because there's so many categories where both cost of living and 8 and more are nominated, if people are not going to be able to vote because they haven't seen both of them. Because you have to have seen all but one of the nominees.
That's a good point.
So if anybody missed cost of living and 8 and mo, they're out for quite a few categories.
Yeah, so they both had similar amounts of performances on Broadway. Ain't No Mo had 23 previews and 28 performances. Cost of Living had 21 previews and 40 performances. So they had pretty similar runs there. To give you an idea, Ain't No Mo had less performances on Broadway than Diana.
Yeah, those are short runs.
But so now going to talk about touring, we have Scenic design of the play, of which we have Miriam Buther, Prima Facie, Tim Hatley, and Andres Goulding, Life of Pi, Rachel Huack, Goodnight Oscar, Richard Hudson, Leah Poldstadt, Dane Laffrey, and Lucy McKinnon, A Christmas Carol. I am pissed off about Leah Poldstadt.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's one of the worst nominations in my opinion.
So I didn't see Leah Poldstadt. Why? Someone explain to me why this show is nominated. I don't understand.
It's a couch, a table, and a Christmas tree.
It's literally a bare room.
The Christmas tree, okay? They put the star on the Jewish star on top of the Christmas tree. Don't you remember that part? And they all laugh.
The whole thing takes place in a house, and you wouldn't know it because it just looks like a stage with
some that's crazy
furniture on it.
Yeah, I feel like a doll's house was really left out of the scenic design category. It feels like it should be there.
It literally feels like it's a blank stage with a table, a couch, some chairs, some tables, and a Christmas tree. And then they move the Christmas tree, and then it's just a table at one point. And oh no, there's a piano too. I forgot about the piano.
So there's like 5 plays whose sets are better than that that are on this list.
Like, I am personally offended that they got a nomination.
There was a handful of nominations that I'm just upset got nominated, and that is 100% one of them.
Wow. I definitely was like looking forward to seeing Between a Riverside Crazy and Thanksgiving Play here, but
I forgot about Thanksgiving Play set. That set was just a classroom, and it was more interesting than this.
Right?
Yeah. It was so I enjoyed that set a lot.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yes.
I don't get it.
I'm so angry about this one. So this, of course, I mean, Goodnight Oscar's set is also incredible.
I did not have Rachel in my initial predictions, and I am so happy she got a nomination because it was such a good set.
I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know.
So and then the next category is fairly interesting because we have costume design of a play, but the puppet design for Life of Pi counts as costume design for some reason. I mean, I do agree that there's really nowhere else that I would have put it.
So I have a question. Can someone jog my memory? Was Avenue Q nominated for costume design of a play?
That's a good question. I didn't look up Avenue Q, but I did look up other shows with puppets, and none of them had the puppet designers.
But I mean, because it is a costume in a way.
I mean, for Avenue Q, definitely. I think
it was not nominated for any design awards.
Oh, wow.
Avenue Q?
Well, and Into the Woods wasn't nominated for costumes, and that has Milky White. So
James Ortiz wasn't eligible though.
Why was he not eligible?
They didn't determine he was eligible for it, which is bonkers.
See, it makes no if Life of Pi is eligible for costume because of the puppet. I don't understand.
I'm convinced it's because they physically wear the puppets.
Yeah, no, I agree with you that that's probably what it is.
But even then, it's still historical.
Oh, I know why
Because of the
Avenue
heart
Q
of the-
didn't get
whatever.
any design nominations because it was Wicked, and Wicked swept. the
that's
design
why. Yep,
nominations.
that makes sense.
I mean, more than one show's nominated.
As did Assassins. So the best we're looking at
For
costume
that
design.
year.
Wicked, Bombay Dreams, Henry IV, and Taboo.
Oh, was that when it was still joint
Okay.
costume design for play and musical?
Yes.
Forgot about Bombay Dreams.
I was like, what is the Henry IV musical?
That was joint design
Yeah.
for everything.
Okay. I mean, so maybe there's a world where they're where the categories are separate and Avenue Q puppet design is nominated as costume design of a play. Who knows? We'll never know.
That's an interesting
But
precedent.
that's interesting.
What other shows do they like wear puppets? I mean, Avenue Q is probably the
I mean,
closest thing.
Skin of Our Teeth last year, which won. The Skin of Our Teeth won costume design, and it was just Montana Levi Blanco, and James Ortiz did not also get a Tony. So James Ortiz needs an honorary Tony.
Well, and we still have not gotten announcements for any special
So,
Tony Awards
Yeah.
or the Regional Theater Tony Award. But the other nominees, we have Life of Pi, Fat Ham, Leopoldstadt, Ain't No Mo, and Goodnight Oscar.
I mean, this one, I think because of the tiger, I feel like it's going Life of Pi.
I mean, I wouldn't even.
I'm surprised to see Goodnight Oscar here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bunch of suits.
Are they very well tailored suits?
Well, actually, his suit is meant to be poorly tailored.
Yeah.
And it is.
What time period is it? What time period does Goodnight Oscar take place in? The 70s?
60. That's a good question.
I mean, that could probably play. I mean, it was slim pickings for unique costumes this year. So, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I think
when does it take place?
Because if you look at, I mean, Ain't No More clearly would have been nominated. Fat Ham clearly is nominated. If you take it to the puppet situation, Life of Pi clearly is nominated.
I thought Top Dog Underdog should
Yeah.
have
I
agree with
nominated,
you, 100%.
personally, but that was surprising to me. That Abraham Lincoln costume is so good. I also had Peter Van Gogh's wrong here because I thought their costumes were purposely bad in the most charming way, and I feel like that is not rewarded. Purposely bad costumes. When she comes out in the Tinkerbell dress, it's so bad. I loved it so much.
I don't know. I was not a fan of most of the costumes this year. They were very boring. I said that when we talked about costumes in both of our past episodes. That just like it's a lot of modern day clothing and dudes in suits.
And one very nicely tailored lady suit in Prima Facie.
Yeah. I would have put Prima Facie over Goodnight Oscar.
I still haven't seen Prima Facie. I need to get on that one.
Oh, I'm about to go off on how amazing the sound and lighting is. And so I'm very excited. Very excited to talk about it.
Hey there, listeners. When the panel takes a quick intermission, I wanted to tell you about another Bloop Network podcast, Thrash and Treasure, where we torture the world's greatest artists with musicals, comedy, and heavy metal, even Tony Award winners. Here's a quick sneak peek with Tony Award winner Joanna Gleason.
Oh, I have first edition F of Wicked from London.
Oh,
A first edition.
wow.
Which I got in Australia.
I have never read it because when Joe Mantello cast me in the show, I said, Joe, is there any advice you give me? And he goes, don't read the book.
Yeah.
Well, especially because the character I played, Bach, has a very altered version of the story to help make it a 2-hour experience and not the full novelization that is very different.
And not an R-rated experience is what you're saying? Because there's a fair bit of foul language in that.
I can't wait to do a show where I get to curse. If Olaf the Snowman curses, I get in a remarkable amount of trouble.
Say in Boogie Nights, I got to say just about everything, and it was tremendous.
Yes,
Yeah.
Liberating. Speak just on that. You have a minor role, but it is so incredibly impactful because your character very much, I think, in a way, sets Dirk off on this path.
Yeah, winds up and sets him out. Yeah.
So firstly, shame on the SAG Awards for not including you in their frigging nominations, because I noticed you weren't listed in that. And I thought that is absolute bullshit, for one thing, because you did give a powerhouse performance. But in such a short space of time, without, a whole weeks and weeks worth of filming before that to develop that character, how do you get into that mindset to beat the shit out of this good-looking guy, basically, who we've all seen him in his underwear by then?
Yeah, it was all on the page. every single word, every single interruption, every single epithet and curse was just Paul Thomas Anderson had written that. And you just have to think about a woman who watches the dumb, bunny, hypersexualized son go out into the world and have anything he wants, and her life is shriveling up and drying up, and she's got nothing. And that resentment, and it could only be an unloving, kind of brittle, terrible. I couldn't play her and ask for any pity from the audience because that was not the task. No. She's just monstrously unhappy, but you can't play your unhappiness. You have to play your rage that your nothing numbskull, son with his endowments is just going out there into the world and doing everything she can no longer, or if ever.
And the father, when you're having that scene in the bedroom, he's smiling, isn't he? He is smiling to himself, and I want to know what's going on in his mind, because it's been a while since I've seen the whole film, but I sort of watched back on your scenes, and
there was a scene cut. We shot a scene that was cut where we had been in a car accident. I think it's but it's just me over the steering wheel, bloody, and him dead in the next seat. It was just, but I think they cut it visually from the movie. But
oh wow! See what I love. He's a director, and I was quite young when I first saw that. And I think I was 12, and I said to Mum and Dad that I need to watch this movie for drama class at school. They had no idea. And I just wanted to see it because I knew, like at the time I was studying films and trying to be a filmmaker, which leads me to my next question for you. I had another one about Rosalind Russell. I'll go back to that. But I believe you recently shot a short film.
I did.
So have we got any plans to expand and possibly go into feature films directing?
Yes, I actually do.
Awesome.
I've written a feature film, and right now it's generating quite a lot of excitement and even better among the people who might help me finance it. So I will direct a feature, but writing and directing the short, which we shot in 2.5 days, was I never for 1 second, and these days were 20 hours long. I never for 1 second was tired. And the thing is, I knew the actors, and there was a comfort on the set, and the days were long. And I don't know, it was one of the great high points of my professional life was doing that. So I look forward to the complete exhaustion and how do I get out of this and what have I done? And I don't know what I'm doing. I look forward to all of that on a feature scale.
Wow. So obviously at the moment you've got your script, you've got you're looking into financing and all that. So are you going independent route, or are you sort of trying to?
Yeah, no, I think it's an independent feature, but I think it's feel bigger. It's going to feel bigger, but it will be have the kind of indie,
Oh, look, we've all got film cameras in our pockets these days, so we can all make. Is there such thing as independent cinema anymore?
I don't know. It's a really good question. I mean,
it's all Apple. It's all expensive equipment.
It is. I mean, it's expensive, and I shot my short. I did it as a union shoot because I'm a union girl, and so it's more expensive, but that's what you do. And, finding money. There's money for such mediocrity because believe me, I've been checking it out. I thought that got the money. So you just have to figure out where the lane is and who the people are.
I didn't know I was going to get the segue here. So I'm going to try to not give any of my opinions about the answer to the question, because I do have strong opinions as a performer. You are, I think, absolutely, without a doubt, part of one of the most amazing pro shots in Broadway history. And I mean that both as a compliment to you as a performer, but also that it's one of the best. It feels like you're in the theater as much as you could be. You are as an audience member, it felt like theater and not like, oh, this is a filmed thing. It was, again, that and watching George Hearn and Angela Lansbury and Sweeney, I felt like I want to be in those rooms. I want to see that thing. My question to you is, having been a part of one of the most celebrated pro shots, what are your thoughts on bootlegs versus pro shots, and what those two things cost both the acting community and the creative artists who are parts of them, but also to the fandom? Like, do you think your career was changed in different ways by having been a part of that pro shot, and not just the incredible things you had done in your time in the show?
No. I think because PBS filmed it, and because it lived, in great master, generations were able to see that, and high schools were able to use it as a training tool, or this is the show we're going to do. No, yeah, without question.
My mom teaches it every year.
Yeah, I saw Wolf Dick at 8 years old or 9 years old or something. It was my first experience with that penis because our acting teacher decided to point it out.
Yeah, there you go. Didn't need pointing out. It did that all by itself.
No, it didn't, but she did.
Yeah, but you did. But in terms of legs, you're never going to stop it.
No, I mean, but I know that F feels strongly about it as well. So yeah.
Well, I guess I sometimes have been a parts of shows that I wish could have gotten a pro show. That we've done the Lincoln Center archiving for so many of them, and I just, as someone who is you said you're a union girl, that the idea of those things being supported as far as the archiving of it, because I know how important it is, and I don't know if I would have ever seen Into the Woods. I still have never. I've seen one production of it in my entire life, and it was when it was in the park. But I feel like I got to see it by seeing the pro shot. And I don't think that would exist the same way for me with a bootleg.
No, it's always, once again, it's about money. Is there money to film it correctly? Is there money to? I don't know. I would love there to be a library of everything that's ever played on Broadway.
You can get Thrash and Treasure anywhere that you listen to podcasts. And now back to And the EGOT Goes To. Lighting design of a play. We have 7 nominees, which is crazy.
Come on, ties.
Wild.
I mean, this is an overall thing, but what's crazy to me is it's one of 2 Death of a Salesman it's the 2 Death of a Salesman nominations.
Yeah.
That is wild.
I'm shocked by the Sharon D. Clark listness of the nominations this morning.
I am also shocked that we did not see an
Wild.
Ain't No Mo nomination here.
For lighting design? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for lighting design, we have Leopoldstadt, Prima Facie, A Doll's House, Fat Ham, Life of Pi, Death of a Salesman, and A Christmas Carol. I mean, I think Life of Pi.
Yeah. I think Life of Pi takes it. I could
Yes.
almost see this going to A Christmas Carol.
That's why I'm super disappointed for Summer of 1976 and for Ain't No More that they're not here, because
I am a little sad Summer of 1976 is not lighting design too,
Absolutely.
because I thought the lighting in that show was
it told more
Very
of a
pretty.
story than they did. And that's the whole play, is them telling a story.
the lighting in that show was beautiful. And Prima Facie, it's because there's probably I guess almost 4 different sections of Prima Facie, and they're all so dictated by the sound and lighting and costume that and again, it's one woman, and you forget that it's one woman because of how incredible the scenic elements are for this one woman show.
I'm also surprised that, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Prima Facie takes
I'm
this.
passionate about its sound. That's the one I'm really passionate about because of all of the sound they do in the show, but the lighting is also incredible.
Yeah, there were some really nice moments, especially with the time changes and the scene changes. But there's 7 noms, and it's against some of the some great lighting shows. So I'm not sure if it's going to be able to take the win, but it definitely should have been nominated.
Do we think in terms of lighting design of a play that Death of a Salesman has a shot? I thought the lighting in that was wonderful.
The silhouette stuff in the back, the stuff in the brother's bedroom was awesome.
I believe you, and I was also sitting in the last row of the theater, so the balcony. So I remember Andre DeShields looking spooky.
I cannot remember a single lighting cue in all of Death of a Salesman.
No, there was the thing with the silhouette in the back, I think.
Sure. Literally, I was also sitting in the front row. I remember Sharon D. Clark staring into my soul as she looked into his grave.
Another thing that I do want to point out that we have less of this year, but we also do have a lot of, is designers being nominated multiple times in the same category. We had it in costume design of a play with Emilio Sosa. We have it in sound design of a play with Ben and Max Ringham. I think we have it in we have it with Jennifer Weber for choreography, Natasha Katz for lighting design of a musical, and Scott Pask for Scenic Designer Musical. But we do have, I seem to remember last year there being a lot of those, like people with like multiple nominations. And it's nice to see that we are spreading the wealth a little bit more. Sound design of a play. We have Ain't No Mo, Life of Pi, A Christmas Carol, A Doll's House, and Prima Facie. Ashley, you seem to like Prima Facie for this.
I loved the sound of Prima Facie. There's just like, there's multiple parts where they have these underlaying tracks where you can like feel the tension just building, and the score is so good. And there's, spoiler alert, a rain effect where you're hearing the sound of this rain that is like so beautiful. And then there's the part where she goes to like a club, and it's just, there's all this, the story is so like encompassing, and the way that they like, it feels like an audiobook, and that sounds like it's not visual, it is visual, but it, like, I think you could take the audio of Prima Facie and literally play it as like a radio play, and you wouldn't need to do anything to it. Like, that's how deep and the story is.
Wow.
And like rich the sound is.
I loved the sound for Christmas Carol. I loved everything about Christmas Carol, but some of that also, like, I'm not sure if some of it was effects or whether it was him. I think I've heard it said about 12 different times, 12 different ways.
We now know it's Facie.
Oh.
It's, I forget if it's Prima or
Prima, potato. I'm sure like Jodie
Yes.
Comer will say it somewhere and we'll all be like, oh, that's how you say it.
I agree with both of you. I think for me, it's between A Christmas Carol and Prima Facie. However we're saying it.
That's not helpful, people. Just pronounce it one way.
Yeah.
And in terms of, you know, these 5 categories, we have some, you know, we had said earlier in our predictions that we think Life of Pi will do a design sweep, which I still think they will, but, you know, maybe, yeah.
They have some tough competition in some.
Because there were definitely some shows that we didn't think would get nominated that did in these. Yeah, does anyone have any questions they would like to pose about these categories? These were pretty straightforward. I knew that we would have less of a conversation about these than some of the other groups of categories later in our
These
season.
were probably the easiest ones to navigate and to really like think of who is going to take them and why they were nominated in the first place. I think when we start getting into especially musical acting more than musical creative, but really musical acting is going to be where things get a little intense.
Yeah, well, because I feel like because of Life of Pi, which is just like so scenically unmatched, like there's just nothing, it's hard to say anything comes close to what it's doing on Broadway, like look wise and like effect wise and puppetry wise, which is a costume apparently. I think it does make it easier because like there's just, you can't look at the scenic design of Life of Pi and the scenic design of Leopoldstadt and say they're doing the same thing. Like it's not comparable. Like
Well, and in terms of plays that were completely shut out, we Kite Runner, Thanksgiving Play, Collaboration, Pictures from Home, and Peter Pan Goes Wrong were all left with 0 nominations, which is a shame. Also, Scenic, Pictures from Home, I love.
And I was gonna say the Collaboration had a great scenic design. The like artist loft studio was really cool. Like and great lighting design. And Jeremy Pope gave an unreal performance.
What does the DJ count as?
Ooh, pre-show?
Is that direction?
Thank you for listening to And the EGOT Goes To. Join us next week where we talk about the nominees for acting in a musical. Thanks to Jazz from Jazz Tunes for our logo.